Hi, everybody. I'm going to talk to you and fold laundry at the same time. This video is addressed to those that have been in a relationship or are in one and they're confounded about what's going on. Perhaps you have looked into borderline personality disorder, BPD, borderline personality disorder. Perhaps you've looked into narcissistic personality disorder, which is NPD. For whatever reason, here you are, and I'm going to talk to you to let you know that I am away from the narcissists in my life, the last one, which was 11 years. So let me describe to you the signs that you may be with one. And I'm going to recommend a channel because I cannot go into the nitty-gritty in quite the same way or use the succinct words and acumen that she can. Acumen, you know, like really nailing it. The Little Shaman. That's spelt S-H-A-M-A-N, the Little Shaman. So this was my clue that I was with somebody, a man, who wasn't altogether there. And it actually causes my heart to go a little faster when I think of it, because the body takes a hit. And that was the other thing. The person who is the victim of narcissistic abuse has a chemical response within their body. And what I discovered was that perfectly mirrored what I experienced as a child in my home. For the home was not a safe haven. My home, rather, was a battleground, and it was the world that was the safe haven. In my home, I didn't know what the personality was going to be like by my major caregiver. And so therefore, I learned how to feel and sense it through the door of the house before I entered. Imagine that. And so when I went out into the world, I was treated more kindly by friends and strangers alike than I ever was by my birth mother. My father, on the other hand, was not necessarily narcissistic towards me, but he was indifferent because he was pussy whipped and then ball busted and became a money-making dish rag who was, very manly and strong, but he wasn't there for his daughter. And furthermore, the parents that I had, born in 1935, God bless them, they're still alive. And yes, I love them and respect them. But the fact is, my mother has and had narcissistic personality disorder traits, which is on a spectrum. Again, we're not going to go into details right now, but we are going to recommend, and that's me, myself, and I are going to recommend The Little Shaman. So I had already been primed and gotten used to the panic and the feeling when you don't know what you did wrong, but that parent's upset. And you know you didn't do anything wrong, but you're seeking to find out, okay, what can I say to keep this assault on my field? At the time, I didn't have the language for it, but I would actually feel attacked without being attacked. And then, of course, the parent at the time would make me look at her in the eye, and then she would break me, which is a technique that they use. So, for instance, I look oftentimes at a person's, I always get it confused. I look at, okay, this is my left side, and I normally look at that person when I'm talking. I look in the left eye, and then the right eye is the will. And my mother used to make her children, I was one of 4, that were born between the years of 1958 to 1963, January for me. She'd make us look her in the eye, and then she would look at both of the eyes, and then she would basically, you could feel your will center, and at the time I didn't know what it was. But when you get ill to the stomach, which is right about at the belly button, And it's actually a little bit above it for me. Some people say it's behind, but no, I know it's a tug. When you get a tug from a truly powerful energy, which she wasn't, she was more of a manipulator, but a shaman can pull and use their force to use that to draw you closer to them. I've experienced this. So that's not where I'm going with it though. It was not until I realized that my body and the biochemistry of why I kept going back to the abuser was because it felt so good when they would love you. After all of the abuse, after all of the neglect, after all of the disregard and the dismissiveness, then, oh, Kathy, come here. I want to love you now. So it was always very conditional. That's what I got used to. So if you have a difficult time understanding why you're attracted to a narcissist, then you actually are in a good place. Because I'm going to break the mystery for you right here and now, and I'm going to tell you why. You see them as God sees them. You see them as these beautiful children that had a misfortunate childhood. But I'm going to tell you something. Your love, your perfection is not going to heal them. It's only going to deplete you. Your love cannot save them, but it can save you. You stick with a narcissist, that's 2 down. You leave one, it's 1 up, and it's you. You up level. And that's the only way. I'm talking about this now because I am a writer, and I'm at about a 40,000 word count on a manuscript that has been very challenging and difficult for me because it did bring up some of those feelings that I had as a child when I had experienced coercion as well as punishment and rebuke for things that I didn't do. So let me just tell you a little bit about how I discovered, and this is at minute mark 7:30, how it was I discovered that I had moved into the house of a narcissist who I didn't know was one because I met him in my town and his job took him out to a 3-hour distance, thank goodness, now. So because of that long distance romance, the day-to-day living of what it would be like to be with a narcissist hadn't actually occurred. Because what I was receiving was the love bombing. I was receiving attention from a man like I'd never had. And I look back at it now and I see it was all manipulation and sex. And at the time, because I was love starved, because I was love deprived, it felt so good. Like I was finally getting the love that I thought life was actually offering people who were open to it. And I've always had an open heart. Even amongst these doohickeys, I've had 3 doohickeys. I married the first one, I married the second one, and the third one, there was no effing way, because I'd think about it and I'd get a panic attack. I was proposed to so many times, but of course he was what would one call, I proposed to you and then I forgot I did, that sort of guy, and there was never a ring. Oh, I have things to tell you. All right. And I'm going to tell you this right up front. Let me get a drink. That man had sex with the neighbor and then denied it. Yes. He had sex with the neighbor, which is exactly what he did when he was married. And they deny it because narcissists lie to themselves and to you. They actually believe their own lies. They're sick. How did I find out? Well, sex. All right, let's back up. I moved in with him, and I rented a shop because I sell beauty products. And I had a big shop with all kinds of gifts, and I'm a healer. So I do Reiki and beautification, natural skincare. And so he would actually came to my shop and went through all of the closets like a maniac. And this is what he said. I go, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? He didn't come in and say, hey, Kat, how you doing? Instead, he comes in like a maniac, going through all of the little bathroom in the back, the closet that has the utility box in it. And why did you make me think that you had a lover here? Why did you make me think that you were hiding somebody? Yeah. A narcissist does not take responsibility for your feelings. They do not take responsibility. They also believe feelings are facts. Because he felt like I had a man there, then I must have. So here's the other indicator that you're with a narcissist. Wine night. There was a little town that we lived in. I had my little shop. It was very cute. There was a little restaurant, and I could go there and talk to other adults and have a glass of wine and relate, connect, talk, create relationship. What does he do? He comes there. He's all angry. He storms off. And then when I go home, he's locked all the doors. I can't get in. Overreaction. I went to have wine on Wine Wednesday. What does he do? You're fucking the bartender. Huh? Is the bartender even heterosexual? Here's another good one. He was being pissy with me, and I said, I'm going to go down to the tavern. Now, I didn't realize he was an alcoholic at the time, and I was abusing alcohol because I was dealing with the situation poorly, and that's how I self-medicated, okay? Truth be known. So I go down to the bar, and I'm drinking, and I was a small person then, and I'm not as small, but I was tiny, okay? And I overdrank, and I fell off the bar stool. Well, a kind soul walked me to the corner of where my house was, which was only like 200 yards, and pointed me in the direction. And then I go, and what do I find out? I'm locked out again. So I'm pounding. He lets me in, and I am inebriated. And he goes, where? And I just say, listen, I'm going to bed. And I went into the bathroom. I washed up. He's following me around. He accuses me of having sex in the alley. A narcissist, personality disordered person is going to make your life living hell. You will never, ever be able to convince that person that you're a pure-hearted person, that you're a loyal person. Like, I'm an IFJ, I'm an INFJ advocate and a Sigma now, and an empath. Then I wasn't a Sigma. The narcissist made me one. And I thank them for that because I figured it out finally. I see the trauma bond. I see that I'm the superior one. I'm the magnificent one. I'm the one with the talent. I'm the one with the fun ideas. I'm the one with the personality that attracts other people. A narcissist on vacation, get this. You're not allowed to enjoy yourself. This is what I found out. I can't talk to the bartender if it's a male, if the individual, the person, because it's considered being disrespectful to the narcissist. Only he can talk to the bartender. I can't. Meanwhile, He goes to the tavern and he calls all of the bartenders and the poor girls boo. Guess what he calls me? I'll give you one guess. Boo. And I said to him, oh, this way you don't have to remember our names. You won't confuse any of us, will you? I'm not accusing him of having sex with the bartender. No. He saved that for the neighbor, and then he denied it. And this is how I found out. He stopped having sex with me because I ended up, like I told you, self-medicating. I had wine delivered to my spa, because I had a day spa, and I served wine to the guests if they had a package, and I would drink it. I drank a half a bottle before I got home because it was so dismal, and he was always coming home drunk. All right, here's the other thing. He would never come home from work. He went straight to the bar. Why? Because I knew him and liked him there, and that's where he got his supply. Hi, what's his name? So good to see you. And then he would have his circle of friends, and he would keep you separate from them, because that way he could do what's called smear campaign. And a smear campaign is when the narc will tell a group of people who are his flying monkeys all these terrible things about you. My first husband did that. There was no reason why he caused me to separate from him at all. It had nothing to do with the constant criticism. It had nothing to do with him always being mad or sad or angry or feeling put out or not doing any of the things that we did when we were dating. He wouldn't go to parks and hikes with me anymore. He only did that when we were dating. He didn't like my brown rice that I made. He only ate it when we were dating. Okay? A narcissist will only be what it takes for them to get you in their life, and then they revert back to their stupid ass selves. They are dumb, stupid, not that bright, and predictable. Oh. They're a result of poor parenting, and their brains will always be damaged. They are brain damaged. They are brain damaged. They are brain damaged, and they don't even know they're brain damaged. And if they knew it, they would have a chance of a good life. If they realized that it was their heads that were always saying to them what an awful person they are, and that nobody else actually thought that, then they would be fine. But I actually take that back. I now see how horrible all three of them were, including my mother, who I love now from a distance, okay? I love her. She supports me. She enjoys supporting me. She's helpful to me. And my dad, and they're old now, 86 and 81. You forgive and you love them. You love them for the life that you've given you. And because she was, again, it's on the spectrum. She didn't have it as bad, but the pattern had been set. A narcissist will tell you what they think of you, and they act as if it's true. A narcissist will have observations about you that hurt, and they want you to actually swallow it like it's delicious. And you're like, that's shit. I'm not going to eat that. You know? They're fucking ridiculous. Okay. So I'm living with this guy before I figured it out. It took me that long. It took me that long. I didn't know. I didn't have the language because I was thinking that this person was like what I've always dreamed of, because they actually conform and mirror you. And then when you got them, when they have you, like when I moved in, the day I moved in with the guy that's 3 hours away, that I do not consider a very good person, and I also think that this individual needs therapy badly, and that he's never going to have a relationship that's healthy because he's not. I'm jumping around, but feel this. If you're having a good day, the narc will create an argument because they thrive on confrontation. All three of them did that. If you're having a great day, they want to wreck it. Makes them feel better. If you're happy, they want to make you feel not happy because they're miserable fucks. Actually, they actually become really bad in bed too, because they lose the ability, because they don't have the heart genitalia connection. It's just all below the waist. And so therefore, they never have the ability to circulate the energy and create a generator within their bodies. And they're eventually, they become impotent, limp-dicked, and incapable of making love to a truly great woman, which is what I am. I know it. So, yes, consistent fights. They have to dominate and manipulate. They control your conversation. They will huff and, act all stewy. Then husband number 2, he would do the 48-hour cold shoulder treatments. He would do the cold shoulder treatment on the airplane. We would go visit his mother. He didn't like the way I acted in front of his parent and his sister. Meanest people. Angry, mean, despicable. The mother died of anger, and it resulted in lung cancer. And I'm the one that told the siblings that she was going to die. I'm like, your mother is not going to make it past this month, I'm an empath. And I said, you need to talk to Dorothy, because Dorothy is talking down to Teresa, and you need to let her know that Teresa hasn't got far to go before she's going to meet her maker. And so off she went to meet her maker, and my then husband came back from that situation, never having resolved the wrongs done to him by his alcoholic mother and his long dead alcoholic father, and proceeded to make me the reason why he didn't feel safe. Feeling safe? All right, let's get back to narc number 3, because at one time he was my favorite, but now I actually see him as a dumb guy. And I see narc number 2 as witty and more fun. And even though I think he's an awful, despicable lizard of a human that is just inert, like basically they're just, he was amusing, whereas number 3, he was, what caught me? I liked the sex. I had a problem with it. That was my weakness, okay? Yeah, he had to get really, 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 really bad, and then I could see. And then number 2 had to become impotent, and then I could see. So I had a lot to work on myself, right? I'm responsible for the relationships having lasted that long for 2 reasons. Number 1, I was in denial, and number 2, I had lots of energy. I never depleted my stores, and they just kept coming back for more. So, you're gonna love this. Okay, so while I'm with this guy, number 3, in my town before he moved 3 hours away, in which we started that long distance relationship, he would it would be booty call. And it started off with him coming over to my house and sitting on my patio with me and just being friendly and laughing. And then he would walk downtown with me, and I loved it because he was a big guy with muscles and I felt safe. And so I got relaxed, and it was just platonic, and he kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And then some guy that I was dating broke up with me because he said that I was too sexual. And I said, well, you've made up your mind that the physicality that I actually enjoy is something that you don't find appealing in your 4 pillars of the relationship. Like, he was acting like it was all new to me: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And we were creating a mental and emotional connection, and I felt like we could go ahead and do the physical, especially since he kissed me, put his hands in my pants, and climaxed me. And I thought, okay, well, he now can relax. He knows he can satisfy me. That's always, in my mind, I think men need to be validated that they know how to do such a thing, in my mind. And instead it was like, I can't be with you anymore. And I thought to myself, okay. So, and I asked him, so there's no discussion? You've made up your mind? He's like, yes. Of course, later he came back the following month and was trying to like sniff up my skirt, if you know what I mean. And I said, listen, you know, I've moved on and I'm dating somebody, and it was the narc. It was the narc who then moved and then swept me up and that little tango, and I visited him, and it was always like land of milk and honey and overflowing beauty, and let's do this, let's do that. And it was all these stuffs, things that I like, hiking, and then busch gardens, because I love roller coaster rides. Well, he gave me a roller coaster ride, all right, an emotional roller coaster, and it was like a scary house. It wasn't the fun house. Oh, so I told you about him locking me out. I've actually, finally, the third time I kicked the glass in. There's an outer door with the glass, and then he had locked it so that I couldn't actually get in with the key. I went out around back where the screen is. He actually had created a hole in the screen and had put a padlock chain link with a padlock, and I couldn't get into the house. And he wasn't letting me in, so I kicked the door in. And neighbors called the police because they heard it, and I just went in and went to sleep. Now by then, I was sleeping upstairs because his method of when he wanted to like control me, he would just like bust into the room and fuck me. So I basically was raped by him repeatedly, but I'd always disassociate, okay? I'd always disassociate, always. When a man forces himself on you and the door is locked, that's called boundaries being broken. It also gave me a rush because I was taken and I was in all that energy. It was my trauma bond to my mother, who would bust through into my room and yell at me and do all kinds of things, including physical damage, if I upset her. Over what? Something very, very small. Not small for them, because it's a personal affront. If you have harmed a narcissist unintentionally, they think you're doing it on purpose. You're so fucking self-centered. So, how did I find out the neighbor was fucking on? Okay, I get a phone call at my shop, and the girl, a woman, had been, she was very nice. She was a neighbor. She'd only been there a couple of months in the neighborhood. And I remember meeting her, Van and I were walking, as my ex, and we were walking, and I don't know how I got him to go on a walk, but he did. And she was there, and I was like, oh, I see you two have already met. I'm Kathleen. I'm your neighbor. And then I could see what was between them. I was like, oh, he has met her. And his eyes were cast down, and he was very quiet. So when I got that phone call from her, I wasn't surprised, because remember I told you he used to barge in and like fuck me no matter what? He wasn't doing it anymore. I had like 3 weeks of peace. And I didn't miss it. I was like, wow, I'm not being abused. And I didn't desire him because he was so mean and unattentive. I had lost my desire for him. And I wasn't having sexual relations with other people because I'm a female, Sigma now, INFJ advocate, empath. You don't just have casual sex, unlike a narcissist who needs that supply, and they have no impulse control. They usually gamble. They usually abuse substances. Does that make all substance abusers narcissists? No. So she calls me, and her voice is shaking. And she said, before I met you, I believed what he said about you. And not knowing you, I believed him. And she said, you're really a nice person. Now, this woman had an addiction problem, and she was on meds of some kind, and she had passed out in her front yard, and I saw her and went over and assisted her into her house and spoke to her, and she was like, "Oh, I didn't know you were so nice." So narcissists go after weak women or easy targets. I suppose I was one, because I had just been broken up with, and he had been my friend, and guess what he does? Let me come over and give you a massage. The last time I got a massage from him was in 2021, when we were still seeing each other because I was crazy, and massage always leads to sex. So a narcissist cannot hold your hand, they cannot hug you in bed, they cannot cuddle. They cannot handle close physicality unless it's sexual. Another sign you're with a narcissist. And if they say, "You're making me too hot," that's a bunch of baloney. They're liars. They lie to themselves and they lie to you. So of course, I didn't say anything to him about what she said to me. I said, "Listen, I had a feeling, and this is why he had stopped having sex with me." That pattern had occurred when I was living where I am now, where he had been when I met him, and he was dating 2 other women besides me, and he was having sex with all 3 of us. One of them killed herself, not because of him, but because she was a broken woman, and that's what he's attracted to. Not that I am. I'm actually super strong, but they like the super strong ones and the weak ones. And then number 2 was actually there at his place while he was trying to get me to come visit him. I found out later, and of course he denies it. And she came, but all we did is argue. That's because that's all you do, narc, is argue. You pathetic piece of shit. You are, which is why I can't be angry with you, because you're so pathetic and you are a piece of shit. Disrespectful, negligent. So they're awful and creatures. I don't call them people, they're creatures. It's a spectrum, okay? So some of them are more damaged than others. That 3rd one was a doozy. A doozy. Oh. So the pattern was there. So he's not having sex with me, he must be having sex with somebody else. Because as soon as, when I met him in my town before he moved 3 hours away, which is where I went, and the neighbor is the one that called me, and she's like, "You're nice," and he's having sex, he's fucking me, is what she said. He's just coming over and fucking me. And I'm like, oh, I had a feeling, because he hasn't had the same appetite that he used to have. Same pattern when he was in my town, fucking 2 other people, including his girlfriend, who went and moved to California and eventually killed herself before 2020 even happened. She was just miserable. And because of that, oh my God, that poor girl, I don't know. Anyway, she's in heaven now, I hope. But the other girl was an anorexic cyclist who he found and pumped her tire up, and then later pumped her even after she was married while she was pregnant. Isn't that gross? So she was sick too. I wouldn't want another guy's dick hitting my baby's head. Yuck. So narcissists know no shame. They are bottom feeders. And yes, I was at the bottom because I had low self-esteem, because I had been trained to, but also because I didn't recognize the abuse because I'd always been treated that way. And so learning how to respect yourself is one of the steps to healing. Anyway, back to the neighbor who was getting fucked daily or whenever by my then, I lived with him, and this was what he was doing with the neighbor. Well, as an aside, that's what he did with his wife of 20 plus years or whatever it was. Yeah, it's so convenient. They're lazy. Narcissists are lazy. They're going to get their supply, which is their erotic supply, their promiscuous supply, through the most easiest available woman. They're not that choosy. Am I insulting myself? They are choosy with their main supply. I'm like the main top grade A, creme de la creme, best supply, cream of the crop you'll ever have, and you'll never have again, narc. So there you have it. You have a miserable life, and you'll continue to have a miserable life because you are a misery in the process of trying not to be. You're just plain miserable. All narcs are miserable, and they're in their heads, and they hear that record going on and on and on. You can heal from narcissistic abuse, but a narcissist can never heal, ever. There's going to be poor saps stuck in their bodies with their brains running on forever mode, telling them how awful they are. And at one time, I used to pump this individual up. Not anymore. I'm in agreement. Yes, he's an awful person. He shouldn't be in a relationship at all. At all. It shouldn't happen. I mean, the guy was so bad. When I visited him once, we went back and forth breaking up because that's what we do when you don't know. You know, the fixer, me, the empath, trying to go, okay, if only I just do everything right and don't make him feel insecure. Do I stop being beautiful? Do I stop being friendly? Okay, whatever it takes, because he's a good person and he's been hurt before. And his first wife, she did a number on him. Takes two to tango, a-hole. And I'm sure she found out about the neighbor much like I did. The neighbor probably couldn't take it anymore and told her. Or they caught them in the act or something. The neighbor told me after she found that I was nice, and she's like, I thought you were an awful person, but you're really quite nice. So she tells me, I'm like, I had a feeling because he didn't have, appetite. And then she just gets, we see her across the street collapsing again. And then after a while, she moves or something because she loses the house, she loses her job, she's a wreck. And then he's like, I hate her, I hate her, I hate her. Yeah, you hate her because you fucked her. And she made you look bad. I, on the other hand, am an individual who is so out of your reach, so happy not to be with. Such a monster. So happy. A lying fiend. A liar. A liar. So I did a couple of things that were really kind of funny, and they're not even in my books. But that time that I kicked the door in? Well, I got in. Well, another time he locked me out, and I had to go to the bathroom, and I took a big SHIT in the wintertime right in front of his truck. Because what do prisoners do? They throw feces. What do apes and primitive, like chimps and stuff, do when they're upset? They throw feces. So I shit in front of his truck. Yes. Because you're driven to this place of lunacy. And so you go to your lowest. So when I left him finally in October of 2021, I said, two things I discovered. I don't trust you at all, him. I told him, I do not trust you at all. And the other one was, I hate myself when I'm with you. I told him that. I hate myself when I'm with you. With my second one, it was, I'd rather be imperfect in my life than perfect in yours. And my friend Jill Graham wrote a book, Imperfectly Me. And I met her in 2010 in the airplane coming back from Italy, and we're still friends. So he forbade me to visit her when she was living in Georgetown, Washington, D.C., because you don't trust her. How can you trust her? And he would have all of this stuff because I didn't realize this. Narcissists don't trust anybody. And it's like they think the world's a dangerous place. You have no idea how many times he would be like, don't do that. You can't, It would be like, I'm now living in a world where I am joy-filled. I am meeting people and talking to the bartenders, male or female, having wonderful discourse, meeting people, getting invited places because I am a friendly, fun, wonderful person. I'm being invited to places. I'm having experiences. I'm having men that I've meet, purchase my drinks for me. And it's not even sexy. It's sort of like, I really like being with you and it'd be fun. It'd be my honor if I could pay for your beers. And I'm like, okay, thank you. That's all. Because I am a valuable person. I am golden. I'm a treasure. I am grade A human. I am superior to the narcissist. And I know that. So if you have any questions about it, see The Little Shaman. And she does have littleshaman.org website. I suggest, because she's paid service. I'm not doing this right now for payment at all. I'm just making this video for myself, because while I was in that relationship, I wasn't allowed to say things I really wanted to say. And because I was an honor to that relationship, I agreed to not say things. I would not say things publicly on YouTube, for instance. I would not, out of respect. But because I have not been shown any respect by my ex ever while I was with that person, then therefore I have carte blanche to cut my teeth and say exactly what I want. Sink my teeth into the truth, dish it up, and provide it for you. So, best wishes to you in your narc-free life. It is so much fun. And that's the glory of it. It's like once you heal, and you start feeling, and some of my videos prior to this, you will see I cried some very real tears. I have had to get through some come to Jesus moments when I take a look at how my life could have been shaped. But now I can go, I'm alive. I have the opportunity to make my life what I wish it to be. I am in correction, just like this planet. This planet is now where the good people are taking her back. And she is holding our hands, and she is holding our bodies with love, with the most perfect mothering. Yes, the Mother Earth, our mother, loves us and is so happy. And now that I've healed from this, and having done so, by the way, I spent 2 years without my face covered or with one of these in my body, because I was like, they're using all the narcissistic ploys. Look up narcissistic traits, man, and I won't have to tell you a thing. It was all used. I'm not going to go into it. I'm celebrating life. I'm enjoying my beautiful, beautiful life. Narc free.